Welcome to the show. It's deep with the twist. We're laughing through the scriptures where humor coexists. Cultural, come on and take a seat. It's faithful and it's fun wherever it meets feet. Dive into the stories, hear the podcast call. It's Mormon stuff with a smile in the cultural hall.
It is time for another episode of the Cultural Hall. It is an Articles of News episode. No, it is not Molly the Ash Ashton or any of the McGuire sisters. No, it's not the news wizard himself. It is, in fact, Taylor Old One Chain Westbrook. Hello, sir. How are you?
I am fantastic. How are you, Richie? I know
I'm
you
well.
love that question.
What?
I know you love that question. How are you?
Yes, I need to address something with you.
Oh,
The new song and the hymn, I'm going to live so God can use me. I need to make sure that I'm not stepping on toes because I want to be a bishop now so I can deliver the one sermon so that I can get up and be like, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to live, and then have my not well-balanced, somewhat off-pitch choir behind me saying, I'm going to live. Am I culturally appropriating, or have we already appropriated it and now I'm just using it properly according to the appropriation if I bring that into a sermon? Can you help me?
absolutely. There's no cultural appropriation there, I don't think. Look, I mean, you were supposed to come to Genesis with me last month or
Uh-huh.
this month, I suppose. I don't think I've heard that hymn at Genesis, but it's absolutely one that you would hear at Genesis.
Sure.
And yeah, it's the gospel, baby. Like it's for everybody.
Good. I love that. I love that attitude. It's a gospel, baby. It's a gospel. I'm going to sing another song. You always like the songs that start things out. You won't
Hmm.
appreciate this like a certain part of our generation. And by our generation, I mean clearly mine and not yours because we're not the same. But the best part of waking up
Waking up.
is in your cup. That's the Mormon
Is
version.
that Red Bull is the Mormon version?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
You think I'm too young for Folgers?
I
Come
mean,
on.
you don't know, like, how many times have you had a coffee can around? If someone says, "Hey, grab a coffee can and put your money in a coffee can," you don't know that. He keeps his money in a coffee can,
You don't
buries
know
money in the
me.
backyard in a coffee
You
can.
don't
You
know
don't do
me.
that. That's not your generation.
All right, fine, fine.
Your
I'm
generation,
aware. How about that? I'm aware
yeah,
of it.
aware. Okay. Your generation is I put that money fiscally responsibly in a traditional IRA, but the man won't let me be able to retire ever or be able to afford a home. That's your generation. Sorry,
That's
I'm putting it on you.
exactly what I do with my money. I don't run off to Peru for months and travel and waste all my money. I am very responsible with my money. Thank you.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. And you're an excellent follow on social media. If people, even if they aren't looking to travel, although if you're planning to travel anywhere, why not have wandering? Ah, now I messed up the commercial.
Wander Westbrook.
Wander Westbrook. I like
Yep.
wandering in my brain. That's how it sticks. Wander Westbrook. Why not have him help you with your travel plans? Your follow of like parks that you find in Utah to go on this walk thing. I'm
Yeah.
always like, no, he's on vacation. That park can't be anywhere. I've lived here almost my entire life. No, it sure enough is. So it's worth the
Yeah,
follow.
they're everywhere. I haven't really been able to do it lately, unfortunately. I crashed my car
Yeah, you did.
into a deer. The deer hit me. That's what I like to say. So
Not
now
victim
my
mentality. You hit that deer. You hit
all
that
right, fine.
deer.
Yep, I was flying down I-15
Was it?
at
Were you
about 80
really
miles an hour. Yeah, it was
on
like 2:30 in the morning.
I-15? Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
In the morning. Got it.
2:30 in the morning. So I was thankfully there were no other cars around, but yeah, and my car is in bad shape. We're getting that figured out right now. So right now my daily walks consist of walking to the track station and then walking from the track station to my new job. But the walks are a little less exciting right now.
New job. Bury the lead. What are we doing?
Yeah, I got a job at a nonprofit. It's called Children's Miracle Network Hospitals.
Okay.
I'm sure plenty of people have heard of it. It's downtown Salt Lake, but we're a nationwide organization raising money for children's hospitals, like primary. So if this month, well, I guess the month is just about to end, but if in the month of June you went to Walmart and you saw a slightly annoying button asking you to round up or to add a donation to your bill, that's us.
Yeah.
Partner with Walmart. So yeah, I love it so far. Been there about a month. I think this was my fourth week there. It's a good time.
And they work with some great celebrities too, some people that
Hmm.
are super huge celebrities, but that affiliate themselves with Children Miracle Network. So like sometime you'll be like, oh, hey, that's insert
Chris Pratt.
large. Yeah, yeah. That's who?
Chris Pratt.
Yeah, Chris Pratt is one.
Hmm.
I'm trying to think of someone else that I knew that was anyway. Yeah,
I
huge.
mean, Marie Osmond was a big part of founding Children's Miracle Network, and she's still involved. But I mean, yeah, there's just been huge names all the time.
What do you do particularly?
I work in the finance department.
Okay.
Basically, I process the money that comes in. It's not flashy. I'm not, on the in the events and everything like that.
Sure.
Just kind of working in the. It's called the cash room,
Okay.
so that's kind of cool. Handling all the cash, all the
Like
checks,
the
all the.
donations?
Exactly.
Do you do
Basically, I
things?
process the donations, make sure they go where they need to go.
Do you do things like this? I hope you do. If you don't, could you please start? I
Okay.
imagine you in sort of a sterile room. Maybe there's a window, but it's likely a room that was built in a building that is several years old when we didn't recognize the importance of natural light. And a donation comes in and you go, "Woo! All right, David." And then you punch it in with your 10 key. And then you go to the next donation and you're like, "Oh, Carol. Thank you, Carol." And then you go to the next one. That's what I want it to be. It's just this, "Oh, yeah. All right, Ethan, you could have dug a little bit deeper, but thank you for your donation. Every
hmm
little bit helps." 10 key. Is it that?
It is fun.
That?
It is funny because you really there is. I will say the building is quite old. I think CMN Hospitals has been there for 20, almost 20 years, but the building is pretty old. It's right down, just on like the outskirts of downtown. There
Mhm.
is one window. It's at the end of the room where none of us sit. It is a large window. It's a tall window, but
Sure.
there is just the one.
Okay.
Um, and I mean, I see everything from like people sending in 10 money orders of $1 each all together for some reason
Hmm.
to checks of $250,000. And
Jeez.
so, yeah,
That's awesome.
crazy, crazy.
Incredible.
Hmm.
Good for you. I'm proud of you. Can I say I'm
Thank
proud
you.
of you without it sounding like diminutive? I'm genuinely proud that you like found something that you love and feel like you can connect to. I know for people of your generation,
Absolutely.
having an emotional connection to your job is very important. That's stereotypical. Isn't that the
Hey,
thing?
you know what? What's wrong with that?
No, nothing. Nothing.
Look, some of us feel connected to playing Jackson 5 at weddings, and some of us feel connected
Sure.
to making the world a better place. There's
No, and
everything in between.
and let me tell you this about that.
Yeah.
A dance floor opening up with "I Want You Back," there isn't a better dance floor. Dun,
Mm.
dun, 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 dun.
I
Come on,
mean,
it's over.
I'd be out there.
Yeah,
I love to dance.
1,000%, 1,000%. So in addition to trying to now aspire to be a bishop because I can do it at least one sermon the way that I want to, I'm in that fun time of vacation prep right now, where you essentially try and do everything that you would do for the however long the vacation is before you leave. So you end up resenting that you're going on vacation. You'll be able to relax for like 2 days while you're on vacation before you come back and do the "why did I ever go on vacation?" I'm in the
Uh-huh.
pre part of that, trying to get everything ready to go. My dog, for those that cared and asked, is feeling better. His mortality, just like ours, is imminent. And with this recent scare, I was like, oh, geez, I'm going to have to deal with this at some time. But I did learn about myself that I'm not at all emotionally ready for him to pass. So that was a valuable lesson learned. And I'm going to, try and lean into being at least more ready or accepting of the fact that's going on. But vacation prep, it's ridiculous. It's like, all right, can I mow my lawn a little bit shorter so that when I come back, it's not overwhelming? Do I have the sprinkler set in case it gets super hot, which it will, spoiler alert, Utah? Like all of that garbage that you do before vacation, frantic,
Hmm.
frantic is what I'm doing right now.
But the important question is, where are you going? And is all this prep worth it?
Yes. So, from the time that I was not even born, my grandparents, who are now both deceased, they had a cabin in Northern California, and we would go out. It was the only vacation growing up because I was family five and we didn't have a lot of money growing up. Not, I mean, we were very middle class. So let me define, we didn't have it. We weren't poor, but we were just like the vacation we did the same vacation every year. We went for 2 weeks to Northern California and stayed with my grandparents in their cabin that they had. They lived in Salt Lake, but then they also had a cabin in California. And it's a small little town. We did the same things every time that we went. I have not been since about 3 weeks before I went on my mission. I went out with my grandparents alone and kind of helped them out and was there and was able to spend some last time with just the two of them and me before I left on my mission. So it's been a minute. My family has gone back several times since then, but not yearly because my grandparents passed and they sold the cabin. So most of my siblings, we are all going with our now collective families, going back to the same area, renting cabins and spending a week there together. And it's fun, kind of, to be able to recreate these, like the traditions that we did growing up. But it's also stressful because now they have kids. I don't have kids. I have a dog. We never brought a dog before. So it's all these elements of like, we're doing this. We've committed to doing it. Overall, we know that it will be great. But there are a lot of like nap restrictions and diet restrictions and, all of that kind of stuff. Now my parents, my mom and stepdad who are coming with, like they're in their 70s. So we're accommodating for them. It's a huge thing of this will be fun. And I don't have any idea how this will actually be. That's where we're in right now.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, I hope it's fun. I hope it's not too stressful. I'm headed up to Bear Lake in a couple hours, actually.
Yeah, you are. The
Um,
Caribbean of the Rockies.
hmm That's right. So,
Gonna get
but
yourself
mine,
a shake.
oh, you know it. I'm taking my nieces and my nephew up there, 4 of the 10 at least, and they've never been there. They live in Nebraska, so I'm excited for them to
You
experience the
you
Caribbean of the
alone? You alone
Rockies.
are taking your nieces and nephew?
My brother and his fiance are coming up sometime later. I'm picking them up in like 2 hours. That he's coming up tonight or tomorrow or something. I don't know. But they're older too. They range from age 17 to 13, so it's not that big a
Okay.
deal.
Okay. So it's like
But
hanging out
yeah.
with your friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're slightly
Yeah,
younger.
most of my friends are still in school. I'm about that maturity level, so yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. Makes sense.
that's a
Well,
joke.
yeah,
You
no,
can
I
laugh
got it.
now.
I got it. uh, Make sure you take the kids to go to the Pickleville Playhouse too. That's a great family
I was
place to go see a show.
It was recommended to me, so I might check that out.
If you go, the guy who owns it is a friend of mine. Say TJ. Richie says hello.
His name is TJ, or
Hmm.
is your nickname with him TJ?
No, no, no.
Okay.
I mean, I've never called him anything different.
Okay.
Now,
All right.
now I
All right.
wonder. Now I don't say TJ and see how he feels, or if anyone turns his head. I guess.
Okay. All right.
But that's a word of advice. Lots of. Oh, and you know what else you should do?
What's that?
Speaking of that, go into Idaho, the Paris,
Mm-hmm.
Idaho Tabernacle, because it's going to be closing here
Mm-hmm.
in like a week. Take the 90-minute
Oh,
drive and go see the Paris Tabernacle. Change your life.
okay. Good to know. We will be staying on the Idaho side. So yeah, maybe it'll even be a little bit closer.
Yeah. And save some room. They've got a subway.
Ooh, luxurious.
Yeah, get yourself a foot long. You earned it. You earned it. You've got a job. Get
Thank you.
yourself a foot long.
Finally, can
Uh,
afford
let's
Subway.
let's take a break. Taylor has lined out some news. We've got some older stories, some news stories. We're going to get through a ton of that stuff. Let's take a break and come back and do that in the second half. Unless I miss anything. Did I miss anything? Of
Mm-mm.
articles of news. Let me take just a moment to tell you all about bestdjinutah.com. That is the website where you can learn all about me. Oh, sure, you probably feel like you know me, but you know me in the cultural hall sense. I have a DJ company, now 6 of us strong, great event hosts, MCs, and DJs that can be able to make whatever event you have coming up absolutely spectacular, and hope you will reach out to us. Now you're thinking, well, wait a minute, Richie, I don't live in Utah. Would you travel? Absolutely, I would travel. Would they travel? Absolutely, they would travel. Whatever your event is, doesn't have to be a wedding or a community event. We can do all sorts of things. I can teach you line dancing. I can dance with you. We can do partner dancing. We can do all kinds of things, but we can't do any of it if you don't hit me up. You can go to bestdjinutah.com. You can fill out the form to get more information or get a quote, and then I will get right back to you. Find out why I'm so busy and why sometimes we don't get episodes of the Cultural Hall. It's all because of bestdjinutah.com. Here in the second half of articles of news, we do actual articles of news. Hit it, Peter.
You can't lose articles of news.
And away we go. Ladies, if you are looking for a gentleman, good looking guy, always wears a chain, lives with his mom, doesn't have a
Hold
car,
on.
Taylor Westbrook, may I recommend everybody? Taylor Westbrook, he's got a job though. He's on the up and up. If you want to invest early, think of it like getting in on Bitcoin very, very early, you guys. Taylor One Chain Westbrook. And when you go to pick him up because he doesn't have a car, you get to meet his mom on the first date.
All right. There's a lot of falsehoods in this statement. I don't know if I should be thankful for this endorsement.
Okay. Okay.
I
Not
have a
single.
car getting fixed.
Okay.
Single. Yes, single. Yes,
Okay.
single.
Okay.
Uh, Live in Orem, staying with my mom in Sugar House momentarily. So,
Okay.
let's I'm not appreciating the misinformation, but I'll let it go
Listen,
because you did
here, if I have learned
put me out there.
anything
So,
from our current political landscape, if it will serve you, lean into however you can change the narrative. So
no comment.
invest early in Taylor One Chain. You want to know something
That's
crazy?
right.
I don't know if I've said this on the Cultural Hall. I probably have. Probably now what 6, 7 years ago, I I emceed a Bitcoin conference. They wanted someone to play like in between music and then get up and be like, all right, we're going to take a break for lunch, you guys. Make sure that you're back in an hour's worth of time. Like the guys just didn't want to worry about it. And so
Yep.
they said to me, hey, how would you like to be paid for this? And I said, money is what I like. Hold on, I'm looking something up. Mm, yeah, oh my gosh, I can't even believe this now. So they said, hey, what we can do, because it was a 2-day conference, they said we can pay you $1,000 cash each day, or we can pay you a Bitcoin for each day. And this was long ago enough that like it was just when like all this stuff was coming on. And I was like, I appreciate your fake money, but I'll just go ahead and take $1,000 per day, please and thank you. Because I don't know what Bitcoin was
Right.
worth. It wasn't worth very much at that point, right? But they believed in it and they were like, and you should too, because you're emceeing this thing. And I was like, hard pass. I'll just take the cash money, please and thank you. So I got $2,000. So what I was looking up is what 2 Bitcoin would be worth today. I don't want to say that I was a little nearsighted. That'd be $214,000 if I would have
You
taken two
woof.
Bitcoin.
Look, it's not as bad as the guy that bought a pizza for like 150 Bitcoin or something like in its first year, but that's pretty rough,
Yeah,
Richie.
yeah, yeah. Choices we make. Now you have lined out news. By the way, contact to theculturalhall.com if you'd like to date Taylor One Chain. Um, talking about the church, the senator, and the disappearing public trust. That's the headline of the article. Take us away. Let's do it.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. I've been seeing a lot of things about this in my social media feed. Basically, Senator Mike Lee is pushing legislation like the Houses Act, which is the helping open underutilized space to ensure shelter, kind of framed as a fix for Utah's housing crisis by essentially freeing up federal public land for local and state government use so that it can be sold. But as the article points out, there's nowhere in the bill that it mandates that it then be used for housing that is affordable, that it limit resale or block speculative development. So essentially, it can just be turned into luxury housing, resorts, commercial real estate, things like that. And
Right,
kind of a primary concern outlined in the article is that it could, in large part, benefit directly the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, which is where it comes into relevance here for us. Um, it's no secret, as we've talked extensively on the Culture Hall, that the church, through many of its different landholding affiliates like Ag Reserves, Farmland Reserve, the third one that whose name I'm forgetting, hold that collectively, I think it's over 1.7 million acres in the
right.
U.S. So the church potentially could benefit in a big way from all this land that will be up for sale, and that can cause some concern. It could be a great thing, could be a not so great thing, but from what I've seen from my friends and people in my circles is a lot of uh anger about this decision.
Yeah, the
Or
thing
not, I guess
should,
not decision, but this legislation.
yeah, that thing shouldn't be up for sale. It essentially, like, think of the blanket lot in your neighborhood. If you live in Sugar House with your mom in her basement, and she has to come and wake you up and lay out your clothes. And you go down the street from where you're at, and there's a house that hasn't. I'm not going to relent, so you might as well just give me. But there's
All
a
right.
there's a neighborhood that you live in, and there's an empty lot, and you're like, oh, clearly someone is holding that, or someone has purchased that, and that will one day be a home. Imagine that someone then builds a three-story condo and puts underground parking, and then or a bodega and has a store in the middle of your neighborhood. That it's not too grand to say something like that with, all of the sale of these. Not to mention that it is allowing things to be privately owned that you have enjoyed publicly up to this point, and then you bring in the part of the church. By the way, Senator Mike Lee, also a member of the church. Uh, so that makes that appropriate to talk about within this. But I hadn't thought or considered the church angle. Conspiracy theorists are very much like that is why Mike Lee is opening this up, so it can be a large land grab for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, because we have lots of reserves to be able to say, oh, that land, you bet, we'll buy it. We'll take it. Please and thank you. Go ahead and just sell us the deed and point us where to take our overly large scissors so we can cut a ribbon. And that element of it surprised me. I hadn't given that consideration. I just think it's a bad thing to do. I know there are people who will feel differently about it. We don't typically get political, but I don't
Yeah.
know.
I don't know. I don't think his reasoning would be specifically the church. I think you know, he supports corporations. So, but it would be naive to overlook the potential for some maybe conflict of interest, you could say, of, with him being a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, as well as Governor Cox, who has kind of stayed silent about the issue. And they brought up a good point in the article that, like, I think so many people in Utah, both Latter-day Saints and non-members of the church, like, it's our favorite thing about living in Utah is all the public land that we have,
Yes.
the beauty of the place that we live. And so I think, if the people had a say, I think a lot of people would really be against this. And so it's frustrating when something that feels like is not really in the public's best interest is being pushed just for reason X.
And also if we sell all of our private, all of our private land in Utah, where is Ammon Bundy going to legally take his cattle to graze, right? On people's private lands? What is he going to do? Think of poor. I love conflating those things. Yeah, so you can read more about that. That link is in the show notes. I am disappointed. This next story, I am not disappointed to announce that with a commitment recently from a football player, his name being Ryder Lyons, the Cougars' first five-star quarterback in decades, committed to the team, going to go on a mission first. That's not where I'm disappointed. I'm not disappointed that Pat McAfee from ESPN has said, you're a beast. You're an absolute monster. It was fun to watch you, the way you spin the ball, the way you run, the way you lead your team. I think it's a beautiful thing, and why every college in the country wants you to be their quarterback. I'm not disappointed about that. Lyons, who was the fifth best quarterback in the country and was the Gatorade Player of the Year in California as a junior, threw for almost 3,000 yards, 44 touchdowns, and added 12 rushing touchdowns. He got his first offer letter in eighth grade from BYU, which can you imagine being in eighth grade and being like, I feel strange when I'm in Spanish. And also, you'd like me to commit to your university? Like, that just seems like such an odd time of life. Even that, I'm not disappointed about. I have said it before. I have said it again. I will continue to say it until someone does it. Why have we not made the headline Lions, Tiger, and Bear at BYU? Oh my. Is it because they haven't played on the same team yet? Is it too obvious? Is it low hanging fruit? Have people not seen, the movie Lions and Tigers and Bears? Oh my. What? Oh, what? Why has this not happened? Have they not connected it? Do they not listen? I am furious.
I like how your brain works, Richie. I don't know why they haven't. I don't know. I think you just need to up your letter writing and picketing,
I,
and sometime this will be resolved.
I'm going to take it to X because
Okay.
this is where, crazy people who just want to scream into the void go. So I'm just going to take it to X and be like, please, lions and tiger and bear, oh my. Or if we want to make a pun on it like they do in terrible journalism, lions and tigers, or lions and tiger and bear, oh why? And then you have like why because it's BYU. Oh why? All right, there it's there. Don't
Yeah.
make me become a newspaper journalist or an online journalist just so I can do this. Someone else take the mantle from me, please.
Look, you're willing to become a bishop just to sing one song. I think you could go to journalism school just for this.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess I have to.
Fair?
Yeah. All to say though, pretty cool. 5-star commit. He's going to go on his mission first, so it won't really affect BYU for a while.
Fair. I
Uh,
watched some of his highlights though. He is, as McAfee so eloquently put, a beast.
yeah,
Yeah.
phenomenal, right?
Yes.
And,
And had 33 D1 offers. So
is
it's not like BYU got in early and then was just kind of the only school looking at him. Like they just got on early, and that was kind of part of his reasoning. I mean, I'm sure being a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, probably a fan of BYU as well.
mhm.
But he kind of mentioned that, it kind of came back full circle and they put faith in him very early on. So yeah.
They liken him to AJ Dibansa, I think is how you say it. That's the basketball player
Debonsa.
Dibonsa, who is committed, and for every intents and purposes, people will think he will be the first round, first draft pick out of BYU for the basketball next year after he plays a season. Um,
Hmm.
but what they aren't announcing, and I don't think maybe they can, or maybe it applies, or maybe they've explored it that much, is the name and licensing and the amount of money that Ryder Lyons is going to make because he's not
Hmm.
playing yet. So it's this big, hey, no, it's just pure. It's just how football used to be. Guy wanted to come play for his church and be on this team, and what a great connection. And then he'll go
Yeah.
on his mission. Guy went and served the Lord. Man, what a great opportunity. But it's all the things that he learns. And then he'll come back, and right before the season starts, it'll be like, oh, P.S. In the fine print, he made 10 million in, in money from the co-op that pays the things, and then also got a thing with him and his buddy Tiger and Bear for a screening of. No, I don't know. I don't know.
He mentioned he already has an agent that handles all of NIL stuff. So, and I think I watched the interview, and I think he has like a Raising Cane's deal in
Okay.
high school, like something like that. It's crazy, but hopefully keeps the good head on his shoulders and does good things for BYU. Seems like a
Now,
good kid.
the joke when I worked at BYU is that they would take your tithing out of your paycheck. Do you think they do similar things for name and licensing? Like they're like, hey, contract deal, should have been 10. It's not your increase, so we'll pay your agent from the gross. But then when we get down to the 8.8, we'll just go ahead and skim that 880. We'll just go ahead and
Mm.
deposit that to the church, and then you can get the rest of it.
Well, I
Thoughts?
mean, the college wouldn't be the one paying him, right? It would be Raising
Oh,
Cane's or
fair
whatever.
point. Fair point.
Yeah. So
They just step in. We'll go
yeah,
ahead and take a
we'll
little.
just take that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Continue to play, please. We'll take it. Okay, and then the next story you wanted was to talk about recent BYU grad Lauren Willardson.
Yes, I don't remember hearing about this. I'm sure it was covered on the Cultural Hall at the time. But in 2020, then missionary Lauren Willardson, her and her mission companion, survived a violent knife attack in Houston. I went and read a Facebook post that she made about it because she was seeing a lot of kind of maybe misconstrued stories or added details that weren't exactly true. But just in the middle of the night, a man broke into their apartment and attacked them. And she said it was about 15 minutes that they were trying to fight him off. I think she ended up with 9 stab wounds, and somehow they got him to leave. But what's really cool about the story is how Lauren has kind of turned that obviously traumatic experience into something so positive. Um, She has used her platform, the work of his hands, to kind of spread her message of hope, of forgiveness, and just overall of the gospel. One of the coolest things I read about what she said is that she fully forgave this man that did this to her. And, it's always cool when people are able to set that example. I never, if I don't see in an article that they're like, and then I fully forgave him, I'm not like, what? You're crazy. Like, if she held a grudge against him for the rest of her life, I would not judge her for 1 second because
Hmm.
you stabbed me 9 times. I don't
Yeah.
like you.
Yeah, you stabbed
But
me
she,
once, shame on me. You stabbed me
right,
9 times, shame on you. Isn't that the how the
exactly.
saying goes?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Um, but she even, when he went to prison, before his sentencing, she gave him a Book of Mormon, with a bunch of scriptures about forgiveness and the atonement highlighted, as well as her testimony written inside the Book of Mormon, which, I don't know. I didn't see anything about his reaction to it or anything like that, but just a really cool gesture and a really good example of, living the gospel and actually being Christ-like, which is super common these days, right?
Well, let me take it one step further. I know that you are not a lifer of the Cultural Hall because of how you reported on the story. Lauren Willardson, episode 459 of the Cultural Hall, from her own mouth, shares her experience about being stabbed in an apartment on her mission.
Ooh, I might
So,
have to go back and listen to that one in the
yeah,
show
so
notes, I'm guessing, right?
yep. Link will be in the show notes. You can also Google Lauren Willardson, The Cultural Hall, and find it that way, but I'll make those show notes available. Here's the thing. Let me take this as an aside real quick. I owe people an apology. There have been different times in my life. I've been doing this Cultural Hall thing for a long time. I am best, and I think the Cultural Hall is best when I find the people in the news and make the interviews of them. I haven't done that for a while. It takes an insane amount of time, but when I stop and I look at all that the Cultural Hall has done in the, almost 15 years that we've been doing this, to look back and go, oh yeah, that we mentioned this in our last articles of news, that woman who protested President Nelson being, sworn in, I interviewed them. The woman who was stabbed in her apartment, I interviewed them. And so I don't owe an apology to anyone because I don't owe anyone anything because this is a thing I do because I love it. But I oddly feel bad when I see how good it has been at some time, and how sometimes, like, just because of bandwidth of life and things like that, I'm just not able to chase down stuff like that. But some of these, like this interview, worth going and finding out because it was like, I think, as I recall off the top of my head, I think it was like stabbed, removed from her mission, or came home from her mission, and we chatted almost immediately. So it is in the moment. It is of the time. We used to do a lot of that stuff. I'd like to get back to doing more of that stuff. So I don't owe anyone an apology, but I think about that stuff and I think I could do so much better. I just haven't. I am sorry, everyone. This aspiring to a bishop has been far more exhausting in the 3 days that I've been doing it. So uh, just
It's
know that.
completely understandable, Richie. I think you owe yourself a little bit more credit than that. I mean, I think we got a recent review talking about how much somebody loved a recent guest that we had, and they're not always like top of the news
Sure.
cycle type guests, but they're often people with a very interesting perspective, and I think
Incredible. And no shade on the guests. The guests that we
yeah,
have
yeah,
are
yeah,
great. I've got a
right.
couple that I have already done that you guys have not yet heard. They are phenomenal. One is bad marriage advice, and you'll love that interview. That's coming up. That's kind of a headline for things coming up. She's great. She's been on before and shared her conversion story. Now she's written a book. It's not to say anything about that, but I just felt like we were like, oh man, this is a place where we go to get some of that stuff. Was the cultural hall, and I just haven't been able to keep up on it. So I appreciate the
Mhm.
grace.
Yeah,
But just like
absolutely.
compliments, I will reject them and say, please stop doing that. Don't
All
give me
right,
grace and don't give me compliments.
stopping now. Stopping
Okay.
now.
This I thought was interesting. This out of Detroit, that is Michigan, for those who do not know where the Detroit is. Uh, some people would say also Rock City. Detroit Rock City. This is a collaboration between the church and a group that is called. Hold on. Oh, what is it? I'll get to it. What is it called? The Church of Jesus Christ and Zaman or Zaman International,
Zaman, probably. I don't know.
Zaman. Founded in 1996 and rooted in the Arab and Muslim communities of Dearborn, Michigan, Zaman International exists to break the cycle of intergenerational poverty. All right, so here is the question for you, Taylor One Chain Westbrook. Do you know what intergenerational poverty is?
It's when poverty crosses generations and is kind of so, for example, the way I always think about it is like you see families who are well off and you can look back generations, there's probably a lot of property ownership and a lot of, privilege. I don't mean that in a negative way, just, and then you have communities where that's not as common. And so it's a really hard kind of hole to dig yourself out of if your great grandparents didn't own a house or didn't have a well-paying job and neither did your grandparents and parents and so on. It's really hard to kind of work your way out of that cycle for sure. You kind of
Yeah.
just stay at a status quo of surviving.
Yeah, and I saw this firsthand when I served my mission in Cleveland. We would meet people who, like, the grandma had been on welfare her entire life, and mom was on welfare her entire life, and then daughter, we're talking to her and saying, like, you can get a job and you can make more money and you can find your way just out of this. And some of that is like an intergenerational poverty mindset where she's just like, I've never seen that walked out. I don't even know what that looks like to be
Yeah,
able to do something like that. And what I love so much about this program is that it is, and the church has joined with them, to be a one-stop shop for clients, so that when they're in their door, they can see a future of self-reliance, a future of real sustainability for their families, and then work through the different programs at their own speed and according to their own pathway. So it's basically, and this is where I feel like the church is at its very, 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 very best, is when we provide a vision of hope and then we say, and we're going to be here. Whatever you need, we're not going to just give it to you, but we are going to walk alongside you. So if you struggle with creating a spending plan or a budget, we've got these volunteers, these missionaries, these whatever, to be able to walk alongside you. Everything that we're doing with BYU Pathway, we want you to be able to do this, and we've got people that are going to walk alongside you so that when you have that hope vision and then that hope is lost, because it always is. I'm sure it is for you. Hitting a deer, you're like, great, now I'm going to have to go back to live with my mom, even though I want to continue to live with my mom. That's it. I'm going there. But you have hope for a vision of one day not living with your mom again. Those things are difficult. Church comes alongside you and says, hey, we're going to help you. It may be a minute, but we'll get you out. You'll be great. And I love when we partner with organizations. I love when the church does this. There is not a better thing that the church does, I think, in the world than doing these type of projects.
absolutely. There was a quote from Rachel Cannon, who I think was like the state communications leader or something like that, was kind of the one being interviewed about this partnership. And something she said highlighted something that I feel like you have talked about a lot in terms of the church's humanitarian efforts.
Hmm.
And she said, we, meaning the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, or the members thereof, um, we are a congregation of people trying to do good who half the time don't know how to do it. We need to find the people who are doing good, the people who are being driven by the light of Christ, whether that's how they refer to it or not, and support them in what they're doing in whatever way that is.
Hmm.
And I've heard we've talked about several times in how the church nowadays, it seems more and more often, we are finding these great organizations around the world who are already doing great things and then just kind of inserting our resources there like, hey, we want to support you in this, not, taking the full brunt of it, nor taking all the credit. I think there was a time where an interfaith partnership between us and a organization serving primarily Muslim people is would not have been very common. But
Agreed. Agreed.
yeah, but we're finding these links between ourselves and people of another religion who have different beliefs than us. Like she mentioned, we can say this delicately, not to like just convert people, but are being driven by the light of Christ in and living their faith, and kind of living that in that way, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
And two things about that. One is three things I would say about that. One is, for a long time, I feel like the church felt like it had to invent the Mormon wheel for every need. And I'm so
Right.
grateful that we let go of that. Two, I think that if we look at everything from just a conversion standpoint, first of all, I don't think Christ was like, hey, I'm going to heal you, but you better be with me then after that. I think that that's sort of foolish. And I also think that on the other side, that like, you know, you die, you pass, it's judgment day, and God's like, what'd you do with your time? Well, I spent it serving and helping people. And then he gets out the ledger and goes, yeah, but how many of those joined the church? Can you go ahead and account for how many? That's not how that works, nor does he care. And then the last thing that I would do, I want to challenge people. I'm not going to tell you how to do it, but I can tell you that it has been life changing for me. We've talked about maybe a little bit about how I do it, but I backed off telling you how I do it. The idea of giving, I think that a lot of times, financially speaking, for members of the church, we sort of go tithing and I have given, and that's sort of my financial contributions, right? We instill our faith in the church to go, they are going to take care of this the best way that I can. I am a numbers spending plan percentage guy. I would urge everyone who listens to this, even if it is the smallest percentage, like not even a percent, but align out a 0.5% of every paycheck, Taylor, into an account and allow it to be there. And then when you want to do something cool for someone, have that amount of money to be able to do it. Hey, this lady's groceries that she's obviously in a bad place. I've got $45. Ma'am, I'm going to pay for $45 of your groceries. It is different. It feels different. You're able to feel the giving walked out if you're able to have that money sort of set apart. That's what it's for. That's what you're going to do. It's only giving. It's not vacation. I'm not going to buy an extra hat, and it can be nominal, but have that and exercise that and being able to help people out. It is game changing. And it doesn't have to just be for people. If you're a pet person, that's what my wife's is. We're talking about where some small financial things can be, or what we could do for these dogs that are suffering, and being able to walk that out and do that. Game changing. Don't just give the money to the church and go, that's my gift. That is tithing. That is your tithing. I'm not judging that. But being able to walk it out and do something with what you earn or with your time and be able to see it hands on will change your life.
Absolutely. I think sometimes we kind of forget because we feel like our money is ours and like, but tithing really, I mean, if you look at it from God's perspective, it's kind of just like a basic commandment. Like, I hate to say that it's not like this huge charitable thing, but it's kind of like the expectation, like you give 10% of your income to support God's plan, right?
Mm-hmm.
But doing things kind of extra, it does feel amazing. 2 years ago, a friend of mine and we put together little like just care packages, just like big Ziploc bags with hygiene stuff and also just like some snacks and candies and stuff like that. And then we went to a place downtown where there's often a lot of unhoused people, and we just gave them out. Just kind of people just kind of like swarmed us, and we just like, here you go, here you go, here. And it was over in about 2.5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But it felt great, and it didn't. Like you said, it was nominal. It was not any kind of major contribution, but it felt great. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I support
And
it.
maybe we should do a thing like that for the cultural hall. I don't know. I've thought about stuff like that. Anyway, so there you go. I want to talk about this just quickly. Recently, the Pride Festival in downtown Salt Lake. Those that are friends with me on any social media, I don't think I posted on the Cultural Hall. I got a picture of me in my Sunday best, my Sunday rainbow best, with the temple behind as I was working in that parade and playing some music for a company that I do some work for. David Archuleta, former member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, performed as part of the Pride Festival. And I think it's interesting as a faith, as a person, as a whatever. We maybe see David Archuleta, and I think it's unfortunate that when we say, "Oh, we loved him," and then he made this choice, and then we just sort of discount it, like he made the choice to leave the church. He now being an openly gay person. Um, and we just sort of write it off, right? Or we don't think about him, or he's not discussed within our culture anymore because like he made his choice, he left. And I think and I haven't read the book yet. He's got that book that's coming out. It may be out now or it may be coming out this fall. Uh, I think it continues to just be so much hurt for him with the church. I think that he loves the church so much, and that the hurt that has come from him having to separate himself from it. You hear it in the lyrics of his song. I think he's certainly probably largely in a better mental place within himself to have made the choices that he did. But like struggle and angst walk out in a public forum. If you watch David Archuleta, it's captivating as far as that goes, and it also breaks my heart because you can just see this isn't a guy who's like, "Screw you, Mormon Church, I'm out. We're done. I'm not doing this anymore, and I don't even feel bad about it." It's, oh my gosh, this huge part of me. And yeah, I know I knew I needed to do this, but man, I so for whatever
It
that
is
is.
hard. But I think people like him and then others who stay, think
Hmm.
like Charlie Bird, who was recently mentioned on the podcast and
Sure.
former guest. At both ends of that spectrum, there is that part that I think for a lot of us, it is just like it's a mix of feelings, and it's a mix of like hurting for them and feeling happy for them and all everything in between. Maybe they just serve to kind of slowly just kind of be a, I don't know, a force to like open people's hearts because it's hard, if you are a hateful person, it's hard to like hear someone's story like that and maintain your hatred for that group. I would think. I hope.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that's a tough purpose to fulfill. And I don't want to speak for them as far as like that being their purpose, but it's what
sure.
comes to my mind for me. But always hope the best for him. From what I can tell, it was a great performance at Pride. Sang some of his classic songs and also covered. Oh, what is that song he covered? I can't remember the name now.
It's
Uh,
one of the Chapel Roans, right? Pink Pony Club, is that what it was?
there was another one, like a '90s song. I can't remember the
Uh,
name, but yeah, but so hope he had fun, hope he loved it. I think that was his first time performing at Pride. He's been at other uh Pride events, but not at, the Pride parade here.
it's been interesting to hear reported, a decade ago when Mormons Building Bridges was in the parade, and there's this iconic shot because I think they were the first entry in the Pride Parade in Salt Lake. It's big banner, Mormons building bridges, and everyone who was walking in the parade was dressed like the classic elder. It was white shirts and black ties, and there were not many Mormon entities, Mormon like centered entities that were in. Plenty of Mormon people in the parade, but nothing like. We are Emmaus. We are finding hope and building places. There wasn't much of that. There was also a lot of people who, unfortunately, and I find this with parades at all in general anymore. Like there's about 10 things in a parade that you're like, "Oh, I'm glad that the, city fire department was in this parade." But also when I emceed a parade last year and there was like, "We are the world is only 7,000 years old, literally 7,000 years old, Christ's church that meets on this," and they had this big script that they wanted all the announcers to read, and it was like
Mhm.
that and a political candidate and all these things. I'm like, this is not a parade is not a walking advertisement, you guys. I want candy, kids almost getting hit by cars. I want being sprayed by squirt guns and clowns driving cars that are too small and the Shriners. That's a parade to me.
Okay. One of those things you listed was a little concerning, but I'm not gonna rehash it, so I'm just gonna let it go.
Listen, not I didn't say get hit by cars. I said almost hit by cars.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah,
misheard. My bad.
parades are when kids learn to look both ways before they cross the street and they get a piece of candy at the end.
Good incentive. Works for me
It worked
every
for us
time.
in the 80s, pal. Take me to our next news story.
All right. I'm gonna skip that one.
Okay.
This one, just a sad story, it's pretty quick story. But there was a tragedy in Riverton, Utah, as a recent high school graduate named Haven McBride, who was, or sorry, just days away from graduating, not recently graduated. And a hopeful missionary, passed away in an accidental shooting. His stepfather, Joseph Lee, claims that the shooting occurred while he was demonstrating firearm safety, which is just horrible, and was shot in the head. And, you know, officials are kind of condemning his actions as reckless. I don't want to be too harsh. I'm sure he feels terrible about what happened, but, you know, as a former Green Beret and someone who's trying to demonstrate gun safety should know to never, in any circumstance, point the firearm at somebody. But just an absolutely tragic story. You know, it is always sad, and it shouldn't be, but it is kind of always sad when it's framed as like hopeful missionary, or a current missionary passes away. It is, it does have that added layer of sadness sometimes to that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think because we start to envision what kind of missionary or what kind of life he had could have had. There
Mhm.
are people looking into this story. So because this guy, Green Beret, extensive training with a handgun, like there are some people that are like, I don't know. There's something that doesn't quite add up in this story, especially where it's stepdad as well. And like
Yeah,
all children and stepdads don't always necessarily get along. There is at least some line of like maybe there's something more to this story. So that may not be the end of hearing
sure.
that story here
I
in
mean,
Cultural Hall.
certainly worth looking more into. As of right now, he's being charged with manslaughter, but as you said, I mean, who knows what will come out of it. So I have a feeling we won't. That's not the last time we'll talk about it here on the Cultural Hall.
This I thought was sort of interesting. This now a couple weeks old, about Sister Jack. So, who is Sister Jack, you say? Elaine L. Jack, former Relief Society General President. She served from 1990 to 1997. Originally born in Cardston, Alberta, Canada, she was the first Relief Society General President from outside of the United States, so a pioneer for her efforts in that way. Known for her optimistic and uplifting demeanor, she was a part of the Relief Society's 150th anniversary celebration, believing that the Relief Society could change the world for the better. That's the sesquicentennial celebration, by the way. Sister Jack's leadership included the first live satellite broadcast for women in the church, linking sisters across continents and highlighting their unity in the gospel. After her service as Relief Society General President, she and her husband, Joseph Jack, who passed away in 2017, served as temple president and matron of the Cardston, Alberta uh, temple, survived by four sons, 16 grandchildren, and 20 great grandchildren. Um, so then take us. We've got a couple more. We got a couple more minutes too. You wanted to do this story about the stakes. Is that where we're going next?
Yeah, I thought that was just kind of an interesting list. So it's the 30 countries with the most Latter-day Saint stakes. I think there's a few obvious
What
entries
are the
here in the
obvious
top
ones to you?
30. Well, number one is the United States of America.
Okay, obvious.
Pretty obvious. It's pretty obvious that in the top 10, let's see, we've got one, two, three, four, five, six of the top 10 are Latin American countries. So that them being Brazil at number two, Mexico at number three, skips to number five with Peru. Shout out Peru.
Whoop, whoop.
Argentina, Chile at six and seven, and Guatemala at number 10. So that's not a big surprise. Lots of missionary work been going on for a long time in Latin America. And then the rest of the top 10 filled in with Philippines, Nigeria, and Canada. So those are all, to me, seem pretty straightforward. One that I was kind of surprising is, the Kingdom makes sense, but I kind of expected that there wouldn't be any other European countries
Okay.
in the top 30. But squeaking in at number 30, we've got Spain. Just because Europe, not a big fan of religion.
Right, they hate the Mormons. That's what it is.
Yeah, exactly. I
It
went
is
on a
sick.
date.
Oh, go ahead.
Did I tell you while I was in Peru, I went on a date with a girl from Germany,
No.
and yeah, and she was not a fan of the church.
Okay.
It was a very interesting conversation. She was basically just like, "Oh, you're in a cult." I was like, well, I don't know if I would say that.
Sure.
I guess you could say that's sort of subjective based on your definition of a cult. And she's just like, "Oh yeah, just in my country, you guys are a cult. We think you guys are really weird." And I was like, "So how's your beet salad?" She was vegan, so we were at a vegan restaurant. But yeah,
See, so you were probably nice like that.
yep.
How was your beet
I,
salad trying to save the rest of that? right before I got married the first time, I was doing this thing called speak my mind dating. And
Mm.
like when people would say things, because like for a long time I've always been like the nice guy. I want everyone to get along. I want to be socially appropriate. And there just got to be a point where I just was like, listen, I hate dating so much. This is sort of futile. So I just would go so that I could have stories to tell people. I'd go on dates. Hey, you want to go out? Sure, let's do it. If she would have said to me, oh yeah, you're in a cult, I would have been like, oh, your entire country are Nazis. And I just would have leaned right back into the other side of just like the blanket, generalized, stereotypical statement and just been like, that doesn't feel very good, does it? So maybe don't be a jerk. Like I would have leaned headlong into something like that.
Wow. I mean, I'll take notes for next time. That was not my approach.
Well, because you're not going out again.
True.
Right? And it's no
True.
it, there's no nothing to be gained by being just a jerk for a jerk's sake. But if someone says something like that, I'll say one of two things. I'd say something abrasive like that, or I'd say, I just want to make sure that I'm understanding you correctly. You don't know me very well. You're not a member of the church that I belong to, and what you're willing to do in this moment 25 minutes into knowing me is to say that my religious beliefs are a cult. Is that what you're saying? So,
I don't know why, but that's not where my head went. Now, I do want to ask you something,
yes.
because you brought up a memory for me, because you were talking about a time in your life when dating was about getting stories. You briefly mentioned a story to me,
Uh-huh.
kind of this is a callback to us talking about the walks that I like to go on and
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah,
videos
yeah.
and everything. I posted some videos of a park, and you told me part of a funny story about a date you were at that park. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
I don't remember the park, but if you tell me what park it is, I can tell you.
What is it called? Big Cottonwood Regional Park, where
Uh,
you fell asleep.
oh, yeah. Okay, I can tell you this very quickly. This is how much of a catch some of the people I went on a date with or dating me was. So Big Cottonwood Park, it's this massive park. It's in the middle of the Salt Lake Valley. For people who know, it's like 40th South and maybe between 11th and 13th East. They've got,
Yep.
if you play baseball or your kids play baseball or women's league softball, that's the park that you would likely play it at if you're anywhere in the central part of the valley. I was there with a girl. Her name is Carly. We were there. We brought a blanket. We sat on the hill. We were looking at the stars, etc., and just sort of enjoying a summer night on the blanket. And at some point, she left me there, got up because we fell asleep, obviously, got up and went to her car, got to her apartment, and didn't think to be like, hey, I'm leaving. Maybe you should leave too. Or, hey, I just wanted to say goodbye, or anything like that. Nope. Just left me on the hill in the park to be awoken by the sprinklers the next morning.
Wait, you slept there the whole night?
Yes. Was
See, I
very
did not know that part.
comfortable. It was very comfortable. A great temperature. It was woken up, and it was two things. It was first of all, why am I soaking wet and feel like I'm getting rained on right now? And also, where am I? And then just this vile amount of anger towards why, as a good person, would you not wake the other person up and tell them at very least you're leaving? Or secondarily, like, hey, you should probably get up and leave too. It's the middle of the night. We fell asleep. Why is that okay? Why would you ever do that to another individual?
Look, it sounds to me like she was in dating for the same reason. She wanted the story, and she felt like leaving you alone, abandoned, and vulnerable in a park was the best way to do that. Now,
Yes.
did you speak to her again after this?
Well, so funny that, and I appreciate you asking that. What a great interviewed question. I appreciate that. No, but I am very good friends with her mother.
Look, that's the goal. That's the real goal with dating, not the stories. It's meeting,
It's the
it's making friends
connections.
with it's making friends with their family and having their family love you a little bit more than they love them.
Yes.
That's really my end goal.
And I don't know that that's true in this particular instance because mom was like, yeah, no, that's horrible. I didn't raise her that way. And that was a poor choice and a poor showing for her. And I said, yeah, it was. And we have remained Like of all the moms of all of the people that I ever dated that I've known, met, etc., top three. She is great. She will reach out and be
Does that
like,
mean you were
"Go ahead."
does that mean you dated this girl like more than just the one time? Like was she your girlfriend? You met the mom, so
Oh no, we had only gone out. Listen, that this is a much longer conversation for a different time. No, we'd only gone out a couple of times. This girl was a friend of mine from college. And so I had sort of casually met the mom, but we weren't ever like steady boyfriend or girlfriend, anything like that. Um, but yeah, I had just met the mom, and if I'm being honest, the relationship with the mom, that sounds creepy the way I just said it, but like the friendship relationship with the mom has only grown over the nearly 20 years since this happened.
wow.
Yeah,
I'm glad I asked. And Carly, if you're listening, you can send your apology to contact@theculturalhall.com.
she's not sorry. She is 100%, she's 100% like what you said, did it for the story. And I left him. He was hoping to get a little piece of action that night, and we fell asleep, and I left him there on the hill to get his own cold shower brought to him by the sprinkling system at Big Cottonwood Park.
And then
Uh,
scrambling. Yeah, I
yeah,
love it.
we didn't get to all of it. Happy 25 years to BYU Idaho that is no longer Rick's. I want to just mention that real quick. Uh, the prophet, that is President Russell M. Nelson, very obviously missing when the church met with the leadership of the His
Hindu.
Holiness Brahmavari Swamiji, the head of the Bhakwanasani Shir Ashkar Purushottam Swaminarayan Sansa, a significant socio-spiritual organization with Hinduism. It was interesting to note in the pictures that President Oakes was there, President Eyring there, but President Nelson not to be seen. This, like any of the times when the folks come to town, they give them their genealogy, they show them the things that we're able to do for welfare for the people of the church and for people of the community and all that stuff. But it was obvious to me, and check out the picture. You can find a link in the show notes. Like, at, and this is not speaking disparagingly. This is just noticing from the picture. Both Elder Oaks and Elder Eyring both look their age very much in those photos, and and a little bit of frailty. So I don't know. I'm not questioning any sort of the leadership or like their stamina to be able to do so. But like I look at that picture and I'm just to me my heart goes out, and it's why I actually raised the question. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Why I raised the question, like we should allow optional emeritus apostle, you know, like anytime after 80. If you want out, you say, I'm not feeling it anymore, or I'm feeling it so much, but the mind is willing, but the body is weak. Allow me this opportunity to do it. Cause I just, and I know they want to serve God, and I know they're serving the church, but there's some part of it that I'm just like, is this what they want to be doing with the last part of their life? And obviously giving them the choice to be able to do so. I just think of other people that I've known that when you start to get that age, is that what you want to be doing? And that's no sort of shade on a Hindu leader or any sort of church leader or any sort of church service. I'm just saying, should we give people the agency to be able to make that choice?
Or to be a bishop for just 1 year.
Yes.
I think options are good.
Yes, until that sermon is delivered. Can you imagine the mouth agape response to that? I'm gonna live so God can use me. Yeah, yeah, and 100%. It's clapping on the wrong beat in the back.
Yep. You're welcome, everybody.
Yep. We hope that this episode has nourished and strengthened your body,
That if you were not healthy enough to listen this week, that you will be healthy enough to listen next week.
and that when the time comes, you'll be able to travel home in safety. In the meantime, go Tar Heels. Chris at Alpine Lakes Travel, Debbie Wanless, Chocolate Cake Bites Podcast, and the Tiger with a U will be saving a seat for you
On the back row,
of the
Cultural Hall.
Save me a seat, it's sure to be neat on the back row.